Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Jayo Radha Kunj Bihari, Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतर्षि श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की इस कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य सेव वर्ल्ड श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतर्षि श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपः कुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 8th chapter, entitled Lord Narsingadev slays the king of the demons. Text 3 and 4. Kopavesha chaladgatraha putram hantum manodadhe क्षिप्त्वा पुरुषया वाचा प्रह्रादम् अतदर्हणम् आहेक्षमानः पापेन तिरश्चीनेन चक्षुषा प्रश्रयावनतं दान्तम् भद्दाञ्जलिम् अवस्थितम्. सर्पपदाहत इव श्वसन् प्रकृतिदारुणः कोपावेशचलद्गात्रः पुत्रं हन्तुं मनोदधे क्षिप्त्वा पुरुषया वाचा प्रह्लादम् अतदर्हणम् आहेक्षमानः पापेन तिरश्चीनेन चक्षुषा प्रश्रयावनतं दान्तम् बद्धाञ्जलिमवस्थितम् सर्पः पदाहत इव श्वसन् प्रकृतिदारुणः। कोई दोहरा सकते हैं? क्षिप्त्वा पुरुषया वाचा प्रह्लादम् अतदर्हणम् सर्पः पदाहत इव श्वसन् प्रकृतिदारुणः कोपावेशचलद्गात्रः पुत्रं हन्तुं मनोदधे तिरश्चीनेन चक्षुषा प्रश्रयावनतं दान्तम् बद्धाञ्जलिमवस्थितम् सर्पपदाहत इव श्वसन् प्रकृतिदारुणः। माताए तिरश्चीनेन चक्षुषा प्रश्रयावनतं दान्तम् बद्धाञ्जलिमवस्थितम् सर्पः पदाहत इव। What to word meaning? Kopavesha, by a very angry mood. Chalat, trembling. Gatraha, the whole body. Putram, his son. Hantum, to kill. Manaha, mind. Dadhe, fixed. Kshiptva, rebuking. Parushaya, with very harsh. Vacha, words. Prahradam, Prahlad Maharaj. Atad arhanam, not fit to be chastised. Due to his noble character and tender age. Aha, said. Ikshamanaha, looking at him in anger. Papena, because of his sinful activities. Tiraschinena, crooked. Chakshusha, with eyes. Prashraya avanatam, very gentle and mild. Dantam, very restrained. Baddhanjalim, having folded hands. Avasthitam, situated. Sarpaha, a snake. Pada ahataha, being trampled by the foot. Iva, like. Shvasan, hissing. Prakriti, by nature. Darunaha, very evil. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. When Hiranyakashipu understood the entire situation, he was extremely angry, so much so that his body trembled. Thus, he finally decided to kill his son. Hiranyakashipu was by nature very cruel, and feeling insulted, he began hissing like a snake trampled upon by someone's foot. His son Prahlad was peaceful, mild, and gentle. His senses were under control, and he stood before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. According to Prahlad's age and behavior, he was not to be chastised. Yet, with staring crooked eyes, Hiranyakashipu rebuked him with the following harsh words. Purport. When one is impudent toward a highly authorized devotee, one is punished by the laws of nature. The duration of his life is diminished, and he loses the blessings of superior persons and the results of pious activities. Hiranyakashipu, for example, had achieved such great power in the material world that he could subdue practically all the planetary systems in the universe, including the heavenly planets, Svargaloka. Yet now, because of his mistreatment of such a Vaishnava as Prahlad Maharaj, all the results of his tapasya diminished. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.4.46, Ayushriyam yashodharmam lokanashisha evacha hanti shreyamsi sarvani pumso mahadatikramaha. When one mistreats great souls, his lifespan, opulence, reputation, religion, possessions and good fortune are all destroyed. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Before speaking on this verse, I would like to seek the blessings of all the devotees present here, especially all the senior devotees, without whose mercy it is not possible to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. So please bless me that I will speak whatever I speak, it should come in parampara, and it should purify my heart, and it should please Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So today's verse is very, very important, especially for me, because it talks about the nature of anger, especially of the demoniac persons, and the response of a Mahabhagavat devotee, that is Prahlad Maharaj. And in purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about offense at the lotus feet of great souls. So in today's class, we shall be discussing mainly three things. First, the nature of anger and its consequences. Second is response of an exalted devotee like Prahlad Maharaj when somebody is angry at them. And third is result of offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. So when we talk about the nature of anger, it is said that anger is one letter short of danger. Why? Because anger leads to always some dangerous situations. The person who is afflicted by anger, what he is going to do, how he will do, nobody can expect, even including himself. Like for example, once there was a father who had purchased a new car with lot of investments and lot of savings. He has finally purchased a new car, his dream car, and finally he was so careful to take care of the car that he used to personally wash the car, maintain the car, everything. He did not even allot any servants for that purpose. So much he was attached. So one day he saw from the balcony that his 6-year-old son, he was scribbling something on the car. And the father became so enraged. He ran towards the boy and he gave left and right beatings to him. So much so that that boy got hospitalized. Lot of fractures and injuries happened to him. So much he beat him. So all the family members were condemning him. How can you do like this for such a small child? What happened to you? Are you ghost haunted or something? So then he really felt very much depressed. Why did he behave like this? And he understood this car is the source of all these problems. So he went to the car, and when he went closer to beat the car, then he found the scribbling words of his child. It was written there, "I love you, Dad." So after seeing this person was so much into tears that, my son loves me so much that everywhere he wants to write this. But then I became so uncontrollably outraged that I beat my child so helplessly. So he could not control his emotions that he committed suicide. So you will find this, that nature of anger is that either he hurts others or he hurts himself. Like for example, in our center, one boy, he returned from home after some days. So, but he did not give the count for prasadam. So the kitchen in charge, he humbly asked him, "Prabhu, if you can give count, it will be very nice. So it will be helpful for us." But this boy got so disturbed. How can you ask me count? And then he, without eating anything, he just left. So by not eating and by showing that anger, he is not going to do benefit to anybody, including himself. So that goes to show that the nature of anger is either he hurts himself or he hurts others. So Srila Prabhupada says, out of lust and anger, which is most difficult to control, Prabhupada says that anger is more difficult than lust also. And he quotes the example of Lord Shiva. He says that Lord Shiva, when Kamadev appeared in front of him and he tried to allure him from his tapasya, Lord Shiva could control lust, but he could not control his anger. So that goes to show that anger is even more difficult to control. Similarly, we see in the case of Vishwamitra Muni that for the first time he was allured by Menaka and he fell down because of lust. But second time he was very determined that I should never fall to the lust. But next time when Ramba came, he fell to the anger. And that's how he lost his tapasya. So anger is even more difficult to control. Although anger is called as Kamanuja, the younger brother of calm, lust. But still, anger is more difficult to control. So according to Srimad Bhagavad Gita, when the desires are unsatisfied, especially when the lust is unsatisfied, that turns to anger. And when anger arises, the person is put into delusion. And because of that, there is a bewilderment of memory. And because of that, what he will do, nobody knows. So many a times, anger also leads to disproportionate reactions. Like for example, we see in scriptures that Shringi, when he saw that his father was insulted by being put by dead snake on his neck, then Shringi became so outraged that how can somebody insult my father like this? So it is said that his reaction to curse Parikshit Maharaj to death was a disproportionate reaction. So जितना react करना था उससे बहुत ज़्यादा अधिक गुना बहुत ज़्यादा react किए थे उन्होंने. Similarly, we see in the example of Janmejai, when he heard that his father was killed by a snake bird, he wanted to wipe out the entire race of snakes. So then demigods had to interfere and tell him. Similarly, we see in case of even a pure devotee like Dhruva, when he got into anger, he was so outraged that he wanted to kill the entire Yaksha race. So whether this anger, is it good or is it bad? After hearing all these examples, we are very sure that anger is really bad and one should not exhibit it. But Rupa Goswami, in Nectar of Instruction, he says something very interesting. He says that anger is not bad, but if it is utilized or if it is dovetailed in Krishna's service. He gives the example of Hanumanji, and he gives the example of Arjuna also, how they use their anger in Krishna's service. But these are very great devotees, Hanumanji and Arjuna. They were very, very exalted. That's how they were able to use anger also in Krishna's service. But in our case, as a sadhaka, will we be able to do that? Is a question mark. So that's why it is very risky to use anger in Krishna's service at a sadhaka platform, because we don't know whether we are using anger in Krishna's service or anger is using us in Maya service. So that's why it's very, very difficult to judge. And it is told that one can use anger in Krishna's service provided they have actually controlled anger. Like we see Yukta Vairagya principle, that verse of Yukta Vairagya, it says that Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagya Muchyate. So it says that a great devotee, exalted devotee of the Lord, he can use everything in Krishna's service. Why? The first condition is because he is very detached from all the sense objects. Anasaktasya Vishayan. Towards all the Vishaya, he is actually anasakt. The first condition is one has to be first renounced. One has to have Vairagya first. And then one can actually apply this principle of Yukta Vairagya. Similarly, in case of anger also, first one must have control over his anger. And then only one can actually, after once he becomes exalted, he can actually use anger in Krishna service. Like for example, in case of Srila Prabhupada, we hear many instances where Srila Prabhupada also exhibited anger. But that was exclusively for Krishna service. For example, in Amsterdam, DT installation, when all the things were not arranged properly by the devotees, Srila Prabhupada was very, very upset. There were no flowers, there were not proper fruits brought. And then जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा को जो बिठाने के लिए ऑल्टर था वो छोटा पड़ गया था, तो उसको काट के वो अरेंजमेंट्स कर रहे थे, एंड सडनली वन ऑफ द पिलर फेल. So that time Prabhupada went and stopped the pillar, but he was very, very, very angry with the devotees because they didn't do proper arrangements, proper management, because of which all these things are happening. And all these things were live telecasted. Shri Radha Kunj Bihari Bhagavan ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So Srila Prabhupada was so angry and all the devotees were very confused. What to do now? Why Prabhupada is so angry? At that time, one hippie, he came with the bead bag and he said, Swamiji, why are you angry? Just chant Hare Krishna. So at that time, Prabhupada just simply took the bead bag and started chanting and stopped his anger, which goes to show that actually he has control of anger and he can actually use it only in Krishna service. Another example comes in Delhi Pandal program when the arrangements were not made proper. Again Srila Prabhupada was angry. So that time Vishaka Mataji says that while seeing Prabhupada so angry, first time she saw Prabhupada being so angry, and she says that I was so bewildered, how can a pure devotee become so angry? So at that time Giriraj Maharaj clarifies with her saying that just as a sculptor, he can lift the chisel for an architecture, with what ease he can lift the chisel, with the same ease he can give it up. Similarly, Prabhupada, with what ease he becomes angry, with the same ease he can give it up. So that is the quality that how to know that I have control over the anger, whether I am able to give up with as much ease as possible. So which is very, very difficult with us, because when we become angry sometimes it goes for days together, weeks together, months together, sometimes for generations together. We pass the anger. Beta, इनको कभी 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 क्षमा नहीं करने का. We should continue our hatred and anger for generations together. So that goes to show that it is highly difficult in our platform to actually use anger in Krishna service. So that's why it is said that one should have proper control over anger. Before becoming angry, one has to check one's intention, and if we are sure that our intention is very proper, then one has to also see the consequences behind what is going to be result because of this anger. So this is how the anger is one letter short of danger. And what is the response of a devotee, a great exalted Mahabhagavad devotee like Prahlad Maharaj? When somebody becomes angry, what was his response? The translation says Prahlad Maharaj's reaction. His son Prahlad was peaceful, mild and gentle. His senses were under control, and he stood before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. So the greatness of a person is estimated by his ability to tolerate provoking situations. Prabhupada says this. So generally in outside world we see how much anger one can exhibit, that much great he is considered. Jitna angry honge utna great hai wo. But they don't understand that actually anger is not the solution to frustration, but it is actually the result of frustration. So that they cannot understand. Only because of being bewildered by frustration that they become angry. It is not a very great asset that one becomes very angry. We see in case of Bhrigu Rishi, when he wanted to test the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is the quality based on which he decided that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That he never became angry. He actually bet on the chest of the Lord, but still Lord was very, very sober, and he was not at all disturbed, even within the mind. So that goes to show that Lord Vishnu and his great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj have actually controlled this anger. And why devotees don't take these personal insults very seriously? Like in case of Prahlad Maharaj, although many a times he was assassinated, tried to assassinate in so many ways, but he never took it very, very seriously. Why? Because Prabhupada says that the great devotees of the Lord, they are fully satisfied. They are completely satisfied. Their mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. That is how these people, they actually never become disturbed. There is one statement of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He says that material sense gratification is simply filling of the holes, all the jnanendriyas. The more we fill, the more they become empty and hungrier. The only way these holes can be filled is when we fill them with the complete whole, W-H-O-L-E. So their minds and senses are completely absorbed in Krishna. That's why these great devotees don't get affected. So when we are absorbed in our life in Krishna consciousness, we see that we don't get succumbed to this anger so easily. I have seen personally in my case also that when I don't have sufficient backup of Shravanam Kirtanam, then with small things also I get irritated and become angry. But with great devotees, because they are so absorbed, that's why they don't get disturbed. And another quality of these great devotees is that they have lot of uh, great qualities like this forgiveness especially. So it is said, Kshama Rupa Tapasvinaha, the great ascetics who practice tapasya, one of the quality of them is they should be able to forgive. So when we are able to forgive anybody for their mistakes, then you see that we can easily overcome this quality of anger. Srila Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 20th chapter, 3rd verse, if there is any discrepancy, a devotee forgives. It is said that forgiveness is a quality of those who are advancing in spiritual knowledge. So that's why it is very important for us to cultivate this exalted quality of forgiveness. It's difficult, but one should start practicing in one's life from the time, from wherever we are. From then we see eventually we can also cultivate this great quality. So this is the difference between the response of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj. When Hiranyakashipu saw that Prahlad Maharaj was not according to his expectations, then he became extremely angry. So much so that he is a son. With the same son, he actually, kissed his head, cried tears for him. Now he is wanting to kill him. So much he becomes outraged because he is not according to his expectations. But on the other hand, you see, Prahlad Maharaj was never disturbed with any of the things. Why? Because he was so absorbed in Krishna consciousness that he had so much confidence on the protection of Lord, that my dear Lord is always present with me, and if he wants, he'll protect me, and if he wants, he'll kill me. So in either ways, then there is no problem at all. So just like a child having faith on the Supreme Lord, like that Prahlad Maharaj had that faith on Supreme Lord. So I just wanted to narrate a small conversation between Durvasa Muni and Lord Vishnu. This is from the book Sadhavo Hridayam Mahyam. So a very, very interesting conversation which is very much relevant to today's verse. So Durvasa Muni, after getting troubled because of Sudarshan Chakra, finally he reaches Vaikuntha planet where Lord Vishnu was present, and he is addressing the Lord. My dear Lord, please protect me from this Sudarshan Chakra. You are my only savior. You can do anything. Even if a person is fit for going to hell, you can deliver him simply by awakening within his heart the holy name of your lordships. Even Brahma and Shiva couldn't. And then Lord is replying, Oh Durvas, Brahma and Shiva and even all demigods are in my control. They can't save you, but let me tell you, even I cannot save you. But why, my Lord? Because I am fully dependent on my pure devotees. Although I am independent, by my will I become dependent on the sadhus because I feel indebtedness toward them who are completely free from all desires. If I give them siddhis and mystics, etc., they are not interested in any of them, including impersonal liberation. I give my heart to them and they take it very happily, and I feel nourished by their love. Because my heart is one with them, my mercy is also one with them. I am a prisoner in their hearts. How much do you love your devotees, my Lord? I love my devotees so much that although I am Atmaram, my unlimited enjoyment remains incomplete without my devotees. And do you want to know why? Because the bliss I taste from my nature is not as attractive to me as the bliss I taste from my devotees. What is that bliss which surpasses the bliss of your own self? And then Lord replies, the bliss of the supremely merciful nature of my pure devotees. Listen, Durvas, because I am unlimited, I also want to increase the number of my devotees unlimitedly. My devotees give my mercy to innocents who are not yet surrendered to me. Because great devotees help me to increase my spiritual family, in this way I am eternally in their debt. I cannot repay them. And then Lord literally starts crying. So then Durvasa Muni asks, why are you crying, my Lord? And then Lord replies, at the risk of his own life, Prahlad, although just a young boy, instructed his schoolmates in devotion to me. When challenged by the king of demons, his father, Prahlad did not hide his devotion, but instead openly glorified me. And when Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad in a variety of ways, that little boy never wavered in his devotion. As Prahlad made no effort to protect himself from his father, in the same way Ambarish made no efforts to protect himself from you. And therefore, I came to rescue of both. And after I killed Hiranyakashipu, do you know what Prahlad asked for? He asked these benedictions. I ask to rescue only for one benediction. I know that my father at the time of his death has already been purified by your glance upon him. But because of his ignorance of your supreme power, he was unnecessarily angry at you, falsely thinking that you were the killer of his brother. Thus he blasphemed you, Narsimha. Had I wish that he be excused for these sinful activities, please deliver my father. And second benediction he asks is, please save all these fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material enjoyment. I am simply concerned with love for them, dear Lord. I see that there are many saintly persons, but they are interested only in their own deliverance. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, I do not wish to be liberated alone. Giving aside all these poor fools and rascals, I know that without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. O sage, just by hearing Prahlad's words, make my heart swell with pride. This is my pure devotee. He preaches my glories at the risk of his life, does not care for his own liberation, and always thinks of bringing lost souls back to me. Now can you understand how much I love them? Durvasa Muni is saying, O Lord, I am repeatedly hearing from you how even new devotees like Prahlad are dearer to you than your eternal associates. And then Lord replies, my eternal associates like Shankar and Lakshmi are certainly situated in unlauded devotion. However, they never underwent tribulation to gain pure devotion, like those of whom you call as my new devotees. These new devotees give up all comforts and attachments just to attain me for the troubles they have taken. Consider them heroic, and I remain eternally in their debt indeed. It seems to me that you are glorifying Prahlad with 1,000 mouths. And then Lord says, O Brahman, do you wish to know how much I love Prahlad? Then hear this. I became Bali Maharaja's doorkeeper only because of his connection to Prahlad Maharaj. But Bali disobeyed his guru in order to give you all his possessions. Was that not sufficient to please my Lord? Could Bali Maharaj please me by usurping the demigod's property and by failing to give the charity that he promised me? O Brahman, do you think that I became the doorman of Bali Maharaj because he offered me 3 steps of land? Then why, my Lord? Because of the loving relation between myself and Prahlad. Bali Maharaj was a relative of my devotee and an object of my devotee's loving grace. So like that, the Lord glorifies this great Mahabhagavat devotee Prahlad Maharaj. Literally is crying tears for him, that because of his exalted qualities, how he has unwavering devotion in any of the circumstance. And in the same conversation, he actually condemns Durvasa Muni for his anger. He says, Durvasa Muni is saying, my dear Lord Narayan, I agree that I have certainly overreacted by cursing Maharaj Ambarish, but am I really all that bad? Then the Lord replies, consider your own defects, O Brahman. You are burdened with a bad habit that has caused grief throughout the ages to many, including me. O Vaikuntapati, what bad habit are you speaking of? And how I have caused you pain? Please let me know. Then Lord replies, your bad habit is your conditioned response of anger, O sage. Am I revealing a secret? Anger that arises from egocentric Rudra principle in your heart. Surely you know what I mean. And then Durvasa Muni says, but my Lord, the Rudra principle is everywhere. Moreover, since I am a partial incarnation of Rudra himself, I am naturally prone to such a conduct. That is why I am known as Durvas, one who is difficult to live with. Then Lord replies, but despite being a master of mystic for many years, you have not purified that anger from your heart. You succumbed to anger and cursed Ambarish and fell from your exalted position. Just see the disgrace. You are famous for losing your temper and cursing. You are supposed to be one of the wandering Paramahamsas, blessing everyone, not cursing. Durvas, do you remember when I appeared in the Treta Yuga as Ramachandra? It was you who separated me and my beloved Lakshman. Where Ravana failed, you became successful by your anger. Durvasa Muni says, O Lord, I know that I have offended your devotees, but please do not ignore me because I am a Brahmana and you are famous for being affectionate well-wisher of Brahmans. Then Lord replies, this is true, I am devoted to the Brahmans, but Brahmans are tolerant and you could not even tolerate a slight wrong by Ambarish. Brahmans control their senses, but you became so enraged that you wanted to kill the king. Brahmans are steeped in spiritual knowledge, but you are so immersed in the ignorance of bodily identification that you try to hide everywhere in the universe from my chakra, devoid of intelligence and good conduct. What kind of Brahman are you? And you want me to protect you? Who cares nothing for me and ignore Ambarish, who has given up everything for my service? If I shelter you, an offender of a Vaishnava, then I will have automatically abandoned Ambarish. What will my devotees think if I shelter a Vaishnava aparadi? Then I will encourage others to offend Vaishnavas. No, never. Besides, protecting an unintelligent person like you is a waste of time because you will only mistake again. So in this way, we see in the conversation of the Lord that it's very clear that he is not happy with the anger. And second thing is, he is very, very happy when the devotees like Prahlad Maharaj had such very exalted quality of forgiveness, that even though they are tried to kill, but these great devotees, they never took offense at all. So at last, Prabhupada writes in the purport, what is the result of Vaishnava aparad? When one is impudent toward a highly authorized devotee, how one is punished by the laws of nature. He says that the duration of life is diminished and he loses the blessings of superior persons and the results of pious activities. So we see in case of Romaharshan Sutta, when he became the great Bhagavat Kathakar for all the Shavanaka rishis, at that time, all the sages had blessed him for having a prolonged life. Just after that, when he offended Balramji, immediately he was killed. So he lost the blessings of all the superior sages, and also, although he had long life, that also got destroyed. That we see very clearly in this example. And in case of Daksha Prajapati also, when he offended Lord Shiva, how he was punished to get a goat head. So Daksha's offense was so grave because Lord Shiva was such an exalted devotee that the offense was not nullified even after giving a goat head. So that offense continued for his next life also. So Prabhupada quotes this verse of Ayush Shriyam Yasho Dharmam. So Daksha Prajapati lost his dharma of being a Brahman. Next life he had to fall down and take birth in the family of a Kshatriyas. So that goes to show how the Vaishnava aparad, especially to a great exalted devotee, is very, very, very risky. And we see in case of Ramachandra Khan, when he offended Srila Haridas Thakur by sending a prostitute. So not just he, his relatives and all the people who are situated in his society, all of them were destroyed because of this offense. So that means when we offend, or even if we don't offend, but we actually support the offender, then we have to face the consequences. So that's why devotees should have a very healthy fear for committing Vaishnava aparad. And this healthy fear is always very much appreciated. Prabhupada, in one letter to Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he says this: I am very glad to learn that you are doing spiritual activities very nicely and you are always alert to see whether you are committing some offense. This is a very nice attitude. In rendering service to Lord Krishna and his representative, the spiritual master, we should always maintain this fearful attitude, which means careful attention. This attitude will advance you progressively in Krishna consciousness. So, in conclusion, we have discussed today how this anger is really very dangerous. At a stage of sadhaka, one should work upon controlling one's anger. And once we control anger, then eventually once one is very exalted, then one can use anger in Krishna service. And second, we discussed how the great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj are so exalted in their response to the anger of somebody, that they are not at all disturbed because they are so absorbed in Krishna consciousness. In a similar way, we should also be very absorbed in our spiritual life, in Krishna consciousness. And when our mind and senses are absorbed in Krishna service, then one can easily succumb one's anger. And at last, we also saw the conversation between Lord Vishnu and Durvasa Muni, how he was addressing all these things. And at the last, we discussed about the dangers of committing Vaishnava Aparadha. So one has to have a healthy fear of committing Vaishnava Aparadha. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. So I request all the devotees to please bless me to practice all these very, very subtle and exalted principles in my life, because it is very easy to say but very, very difficult to follow. So with all your blessings, maybe one day I follow the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj. Hare Krishna.